Here we go, guys. Here we go.
Dang.
Well, look at all the bruises are gone. Where'd they go?
How does the other guy lift up? The other guy's gone?
That's the question, right? Whoa. Flash. Little classic. Getting that old school stuff. What's happening, everybody? All right. So we got a couple good ones. We got the duck eggs. Obviously, we guys know about the duck eggs and how you want to get really jacked. If you're not doing duck eggs, well, get a job. Get duck eggs. Nothing better.
I think that's the best statement in the world. When people talk about, I can't do this, I can't do that, this is expensive, this is this.
Get a job.
Fucking job.
Get a job.
I'm sorry, but
if you're going to do health and fitness, mostly you youngsters, you got to get those duck eggs golden. And I'm glad I discovered them it's probably 20 years ago. And now the science comes out 20 years later. I told you guys, and you had to wait until the science comes out to tell you how much better duck eggs are. Oh, I like that. We got a great question here. Let's start this bad boy off. All right, so go for it, Jeffrey.
Yeah. Hi, Mike. Could you please explain what you mean with isolate with heavy weight? I know you don't mean doing isolation exercises with heavy weight, but how would you describe it?
Yeah, I speak of this a lot. And it's funny because a lot of guys that do partials or bodybuild will move weight with a contraction, but they'll do that only with the simple cables or the dumbbell work and stuff, but they don't ever do that with the barbells. And maybe it just time or not being able to move that kind of heavy weight with control, and they move heavy weight with speed and momentum. So that's what I'm speaking of. I'm speaking of do the compound movements in a form of contraction where you're moving it through with the muscle and not so much with the speed and momentum that most people do. And this isn't just me. This is like, I spoke about this for decades, almost half a century. So it's what I learned from the earlier guys, because here's the cool thing about weightlifting and the guys that I worked with when I was a prepubescent teen. They competed both in bodybuilding and powerlifting. Like Jeff Magruder actually got on stage. I don't know if you guys even knew that, but the old school powerlifters would do a thing called the Ironman, where they would compete in bodybuilding one day and the next day they would do powerlifting. So there was a great control when you watch Doug Furness squat. An amazing control instead of just the boom, boom, the drop into the hole and bounce out. And what I want you guys to understand is, can you do the bounce and the speed? Of course you can. But if you want to do an exercise where it pays extra dividends, I guess that's the point of it, extra dividends outside of bodybuilding and powerlifting or Olympic lifting, it will help you later in life have healthier joints, have healthier muscle, a better contraction through the muscle, and better balance with your own body and being able to move through it instead of just the guy that can drop into the hole. And I've seen this too. It's funny when you slow down a guy that solely works off of momentum and you try to have him slow down and contract through a movement, mostly a compound movement, amazing how fast they get weak. And it's like, well, then what's the point there? Yeah, to me, it doesn't make sense to put that much time and effort into it and have such a short window of greatness to where then the side effect is more damage or just no benefit whatsoever in mileage, to where you get to keep so much more later in life. So I know that was a little long-winded for you guys, but think about this, not just I want to build muscle today, but you want to look good. And I think that's one of the problems with when these guys talk about hypertrophy training and stuff. What's the age for that? Can you let me know? Because what's the age on the test subjects? 25, 35?
Oh yeah, that.
Is that a question? Has anybody ever just said, well, wait a minute. So it's a beautiful thing in your teens and 20s that you can build these bodies and be great shape and stuff. But then you start hitting 30s, and we were talking to some guys today that were trying to train with us, and they've been training 40 years, except they couldn't do half the exercises we did. Well, why is that? Mileage. And in their 20s and 30s, they were savages, the best of the best. And now they can't do much. You know, what's the ultimate goal for you? To be a champion today and you're just blindsided about the future? I don't care. I'm throwing everything out right now, and then I don't give a shit about later. Okay, that just doesn't make sense to me. That's not what health or that's not what weightlifting and exercise should be about. Should be about, well, first of all, be athletic, being able to be healthy. Then the side effect is you look good, your insides are good, and then you can move forward in life, age gracefully and comfortably, and enjoy the full life instead of being those guys. Oh, I was like you when I was young. Oh, I was like you. I could lift that weight, but now, yep, that's a tough one, guys.
Mileage, speed of mileage. Big Mike, what do you consider more mileage? More sets and days at the gym with moderate weight, or less days at the gym and sets with heavy, close to failure weights?
Everybody's different. I think there's times you got to do volume and you got to be there 6 days a week. Again, when you speak to me, at least when it's about weight, it's always the percentage that you should be doing if you're in that strength gain mode or heavier weight in the rep range. So the weight's always going to be up here, right? There's no failure. You're not training to failure. Get rid of that. That's not in the vocab. We already understand that you're not being able to recover from that. So that's thrown out the window. But you periodically start 3 days, in 2 months, go up to 4 days, in 2 months, go up to 5 days, in 2 months, go up to 6 days, and then back it back down. So the mileage there, and for me to answer the question is, it's the guy that thinks that he's just going to jump on the diet, not change it much throughout the year. And he goes to the gym 6 days a week and he does somewhat the same, hour of workout, hour of cardio. That's mileage. And somebody that is great right here. This guy is, and I love this because I was going to put up a post today about this cat. And that's Matt Wenning. I think he has like 3 or 4 master's degrees. This guy is, what I love about him is that we can talk lifting. We can talk about health and fitness and longevity and being a beast when you're young, but then also retaining it after your competitive years. And again, it's something I don't see a lot of. I see some of the greatest in the world, but just a couple years after their prime, they're a shadow of themselves. So I don't think that's what this is supposed to be about. I don't believe it's supposed to be about that. And for some reason, I thought that as a young kid. This isn't something new to me because of my age. I've always felt this way. I always wanted to be able to lift through my lifetime. But Matt Wenning is one of those guys that can teach you about that and the similarities. But I was going to put up something because this guy and I were both 272 in high school. And we were both state champs and national champs in powerlifting. And so this guy is good. Go follow that guy. And also go grab his YouTube. He did a YouTube with me the other day. Go cut the clips. Is that what they say? Go grab some clips from that. Clickbait.
300.
As long as I'm moving and grooving. As soon as that stops, I'm out.
Mike, what is your mindset
Regarding to discipline and sticking to your diet.
You just have to stay with it. It's just want to understand, because discipline is just you staying on your protocol, what you're supposed to be doing. So that is sticking to the diet. Whatever the diet is that I'm supposed to be doing to appease the body, not my taste buds and not my mind, but to appease the body and get the best gains I can get. Great question, though. Guys, great. We're going to come back to these questions too when I bring on the superstar, Big Johnny. Send that over to him. I'm going to tell him. Jeff just sent you the invite. Yeah, be disciplined. Create the discipline, right? That's a great question here, but create the discipline that you can stay on your plan and stay on the nutrition. And then and when I had this discussion yesterday, that best suits you and your life to the fullest way of appeasing the body and making sure that you keep it as fast and functioning as best as it can for as long as you can. That's the ultimate goal. And then understand this, that we are always aging, we're always getting older, so you're always going to have to be smarter than the body and stay ahead of it. Is Johnny talking about the video that I sent?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because it doesn't look like it went.
Oh no, it went.
It did go.
Yeah.
My Life DNA went over to. Why is that on the feed? Did I send that? I must have sent that.
Total accident.
October 1st, that was me sending it, saying something about it. And did we get the results from this?
Last time I checked, no. Let's.
That's a Herberman. That was a Herberman recommendation.
What is it?
Andrew Herberman, Dr. Andrew. Is it a doctor or is it Andrew Herberman? Discipline, guys. Create the discipline. Don't get the motivation. Don't worry about motivation.
That's right. James.
There's
What
big
up?
James, just so you guys know, in the Titan crew, he is our Dear Abby. He is our emotional counselor for anybody that's going through some hardship. You comment there, and James will be right on there supporting you emotionally, except for Bobo for some reason. I don't know. But I don't think anybody else can support Bobo.
Like, do you recommend wearing like wrist wraps, elbow sleeves, or is it best to build the strength without them?
Well, I don't think yeah. Are you doing a powerlifting meet? Do you have any injuries? It would be my first question. Or do you need the support? I would, if you feel like you need it, use it and then go away from it and then use it again and go away from it. But if you're not doing a powerlifting meet or something like that, or trying to get extremely heavy weights, I say build without it. But they're also great if you do have an owie or something like that. But just don't become dependent on any kind of support. You know, that's the one thing that I'm lucky I got out of in my mid-20s. But the super suits and the knee wraps and all those kind of things I got away from. I grew up in a time where raw lifting wasn't around. So powerlifting was, and I didn't give it much thought that's what you do. You wear the super suits, you wear the knee wraps, and you lift as heavy possible weight as you can. And I'm glad I did that, but I will never let my son use those things. I want his knees to be as strong as those knee wraps around him. That would be the goal, and that's what your goal should be.
Thoughts on using a false grip on the bench press or overhead press? No thumb.
Yeah. No, I don't believe in it. Shake somebody's hand without your thumb. That will give you an idea on how much you're firing those nerves as you're going through. Yeah, I think it comes from the hands and it comes from the feet. Like when you're squatting, those feet are planted and that energy comes from there. And it's the same thing for a barbell or anything. Now I know.
With the heels and the balls.
Crush that bar is my recommendation.
I got a busy life. What do you think about chest and back to back in one workout?
By the way, I'm 62 and still training hard and smart.
I love it. I understand that you have a busy day, but I don't think you need to mix two body parts. You're 62. I think if you're trying to, I'm assuming, and please get back to me if this is true, you're trying to get your whole body in within a week. And there's no reason for that. You get your body in when it's ready to go. So my thought is, and again, you're a beast. First off, just you're mentally a beast already, more than most, because you're 62 and you're still in the gym being an animal, which I love. But you make the statement of smart. If you're giving your chest everything, and then you got to realize that, okay, now I need to recover it, then you're stepping out of the gym. You're not going, okay, I hit my chest. Now I'm going to go hit another big body part like back, and then I'm going to recover from it. It's just at the end of the day that the overtraining is so simple to overtrain. I love training, and I assume that you love training too. So it's not like one of those things where it's that hard for us to get to the gym. But I love training too much. If that's the one fault I have, I love training too much. And if I could tell myself to back it down, I would probably get better gains. But I just love it. I absolutely love training. I love going in there. And again, even for me, it is tough to take those days off. My recommendation, though, if I'm speaking to the outside here, instead of 7 days to get your whole body in, go 9 days. Spread that out. And you said you're busy, so just go ballistic on that back by itself. Get in there, go freaking crazy, demolish it, and wait 9 days to hit it again. It doesn't have to be 7 days. For anybody here, it doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be train Monday through Saturday, Sunday's your high day or fun day or an off day. It doesn't have to be that way. Also, for anybody that's busy, you're definitely working out on your days off in the sense of work. So if you're extremely busy, Saturday and Sunday is your Monday, Tuesday. And then that Monday becomes your Wednesday and you take it off and get your work in. That's how I would set it up. I wouldn't do the weekend just because everybody else takes the weekends off. Great question, though. And props to you for being in the gym at 62, crushing it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, some pipes on his arms, too.
He's got some pipes? Got a little vein on that bad boy? We got to put that video up about the you don't got 22s.
Yeah, that was great. Top 3 exercises for big arms. Greetings from Germany.
Guten Abend. Guten Morgen. Straight bar curl, standing dumbbell curl, preacher curl.
Big 3.
Thank you for the donation for the fur babies. Those are the big 3. If you can't do straight bar, easy curl bar. If you can't do dumbbells, seated concentrations or just concentrations. Try not to do a lot of cables all the time. Stay with the straight bar as long as you can do it. Replace the preacher sometimes for reverse curls. Those are good alternates. But then again, those are the 3 favorites to go to. But in 12 weeks, you're going to have to change that.
Yeah.
So it's the next 3.
Do you recommend standing shoulder press over sitting shoulder press?
No, I recommend both.
Both.
Yeah, both. Standing is such a freaking great athletic exercise. It is such a at least once a month, throw that bad boy in there. We were going to do that today, but again, we were with some guys that were savages in the day, but they could barely do the shoulder press with us. So I wanted to go do the Tom Plaz Smith machine standing, behind the necks, and I wanted to do some standing reverse. But we're out there with some stallions that need to be put down, I guess you would say. Time to take a bullet. Oof.
Damn. Back at the stage.
Time to retire, my friend. It's a great question though, but yeah, you don't need to, anybody here over, there's nothing over, just so you guys understand it. It's standing shoulder press over seated shoulder plate. No, they're both great. Straight bar curl over easy curl bar. No, they're both great. Squats over leg press. Sure, sometimes. Leg press over squats. Sure, sometimes. They're all great exercises. Everything has its place. And hopefully you're all going to do this for a long time. And so it's great to be able to move through those movements.
Like this, T-bar rows or barbell rows.
Yes.
Exactly. Or like this, Mass E or Primo. Both. Come on, dog. Wow, this is from an old video that we did. Would you add anything to your past priority list? 1, mindset. 2, sleep. 3, water. 4, nutrition. 5, training. Would you add anything to that?
I guess I'd put an asterisk next to it. You know, I'd put an asterisk next to sleep. Just because in your teens and 20s, man, you're hustling. You're hustling. And so sleep is not a priority. And at that age, I didn't need much. I was moving and grooving. So I put an asterisk next to sleep is all I would do is just go, I fully understand if you're not getting it, but I stand by this. And I know this, I said this, 20, 30 years ago. What he's got here is something that he found from my past, where I said, first off, I know that you guys want to hear trainings earlier than that or nutrition's. It's not. It really is the mindset. Because you have to understand, most people will think there's a trick to it or there's ways around just going to the gym. It's discipline. And so that comes from the mind, and it comes from understanding that it's the days. Everybody's hyped January 1st. Everybody is around the world. The concept of January 1st and starting on a health program is mind blowing. It's like the whole world is like, this is the year. This is the one I'm going to do. And your mindset is so strong that day. And then boom, it's done in a week, 2 weeks. What happened to that mindset? This is the year I'm going to get in shape, and then it's gone. So mindset's still number one. Sleep, I really do recommend it if you can do it. And I find that if you got a great life, you do get some quality sleep and you're not so stressed. So it's recovery. You can't out-train bad recovery. You can't. So you have to recover. That's why I have it so high, so much higher than everything else. Water keeps the metabolism moving fast. It's such a simple thing that by doing the first 3 steps, and I've talked about this, you do the first 3, you keep the mindset solid, you get good sleep, you got the water going in your system, you're doing really good, better than most already. Then you add in the nutrition with the mindset that's already established. So you're great on your nutrition. You don't need to do it for taste. You're not doing it for technically the only the health reasons. You're doing it for health, strength, longevity, connective tissue, the whole gambit. Then you add in training. Now you're changing. So I stay with it. Thank you. You know what? I just realized after all that talking, sorry about that, guys. I'd make sure the blood work is right. I'd make sure that your body is functioning correctly. Yeah. So you're right. I stand corrected, my friend. I would add to it. I'd move everything down 1 notch and put blood work at the first stage. Now, again, in your teens and 20s, you don't really need to go there unless there's some kind of issues with like your obese But if you're obese and you knew you were eating bad, then you know why you're obese. But if you're eating pretty moderate and you're still obese, then check it out. But yeah, but you get to your 30s and you're not moving as well. I'd find out what's going on inside. And then also just skip health and fitness, but just making sure that you know what's going on as a 30-year-old, that you're healthy inside. Because again, something can be going on that you're used to. It's like those people that talk about, are you in pain? I'm not in pain. And then you realize later, it's like, holy sheesh, I was dealing with this back pain or knee pain. And you're so tough that it didn't bug you. You just kind of lived in it. So we'll come back to that one too. I'm curious about Johnny's on this one.
Is there a difference between eating healthy and eating for bodybuilding?
Yeah, a huge difference. A huge difference. I say there's a difference between eating healthy and eating right. So eating healthy to most people seems like it's a deficit when you should be in a surplus. You should be trying to recover, even if you don't bodybuild, even if you don't, just life in general, feeding your body well enough to keep moving and your brain to function. And then unfortunately with bodybuilding, you're trying to manipulate the body because your body just doesn't want to get rid of all the fat. That's not how the body works. It wants to retain some fat so you're healthy. And you'll notice that too. If you're a bodybuilder and you do blood work, your markers are somewhat off because you're doing this crazy diet where you're taking in such a large amount of protein and low carbs as you're getting ready for a show. So yeah, there's a huge difference. It's a huge difference. That's why in the off season, correct it, understand it, and stay on top of it. And again, blood work comes into play on that, just making sure you're doing things right. It's a great question, though. I think most people think that if you diet like a bodybuilder, you're eating healthy. And I don't know if you guys, I'm behind the curtain, so I see all these fitness people mess up their metabolisms and their bodies by years of dieting for bodybuilding shows and competitions, especially for some reason the girls as well, or even more so, because a lot of these girls will get these trainers that are in their 20s that don't know much about nutrition and just traumatize the girls' bodies to get them to release so much more. Us guys, we carry a lot of muscle mass, so we can recover from that. But girls are on another level.
What about left versus right side muscle imbalances? Left bicep, quad, smaller than the right side. I can.
Yeah, give them that.
I actually had a problem with this. That's gonna be pretty quick. Yeah, do something for you guys. Because I actually had a problem with that. Where my left was a lot smaller than my right because I had a huge impingement in my shoulder. So, and Mike actually helped me with this and talked about it, but it really came down to not trying to do more weight or more reps on the side, but really just focusing on this side, looking at it while I was doing the exercise, contracting it, and honestly just trying harder on that side to connect that mind muscle to it. Also, Titan Medical, they had something that I used called Hercules Potion, and it's like a bunch of like aminos or something, and it honestly makes that contraction a million times like better. So instead of doing like 10 reps and like finally getting the pump, or 20 reps and finally getting the pump, I do 2 reps and this arm was like just instantly filled up with blood. And translating that mind muscle connection after really helped, like, big time. So really it just comes down to, concentrating really hard on that side. That really, really helped. And John will be on in about 20 minutes, I'll bring that question back up for him, and he'll go into more depth on how that really helps.
I like that. Give us a little insight. Hi guys. Whew. Look at you did the pop and drag.
Pop and drag.
Good questions though, guys, today. Imbalance is a big one for a lot of people.
Yeah, it is.
Imbalance is a big one.
There's a million reasons that it could be imbalance. Really comes down to what happened, or did anything happen at all?
Go back to what Arnold said to me. It's just focus on that side more so, which is interesting. I was training somebody yesterday, and there's a movement that he was doing that seemed that he kept pushing. One side would flow and the other side would bleed lagging behind. And so yesterday we said, okay, we gotta stop now and correct this. This can't continue. And so what I did was I pulled his strong side back and I said, forget about your right side. Because what's happening is when you're benching, you should feel the bench. You should feel the rear delts go around the bench and you push up and you're feeling the chest move through this. And it should always be an even bar. Should always be. And if there's not, there's hiccups. And like when we warm up on squats or any exercise, I'm looking for those hiccups. I'm looking for anything you're lagging behind this side, this knee, what's going on, wrist, elbows. And the reason I say this is because yesterday it was a dramatic difference between pushing the right side and the left side would leg behind. And I said, only focus on your left arm. That's all I care about now. That left arm needs to at least match the right or lead from the left side. So it was great to see somebody that could go from lifting so incorrectly, from pressing, to evening the bar out again. But we had to stop him, take the weight back, and say, I don't care about your strong side. It's the weak side that needs to be your lead. And so I would recommend that for anybody that's dealing with anything that's lagging behind or your form. Also, just video your squat. Even though you may feel like it's correct, you might be having a lagging movement and you didn't even know it because it feels so even. It's like the guy that walks and he doesn't realize he's always leaning on his left side until you see a video and go, holy shit, am I really, walking crooked? Am I really doing that? So just take a note of that. So those imbalances don't come within a week. It could be just a pattern that you've been doing for a couple of years. If it's a muscle, just a complete muscle imbalance, unless there was an injury and a movement. And we talk about that a lot. When we work with somebody, we're watching on the warm-ups, David or anybody. And when they're benching, you're looking at the elbows and where the elbows are at the even. And then you see some guys benching like this from the top angle. And so it's like, okay, let's correct this. What's going on in those shoulders? Why are you not being able to pull it in, or what's going on? So take mental notes of those little details like that.
Well, I think the cool thing you said was right at the beginning was, you're training this guy and you were there to witness what mistake he was making and relay that information to him. Without that, he may have never known, or at least been as aware of it. And that's what's so awesome about when we do form checks in the Titan crew. People can just upload their videos. Hey, Mike, this is my squat. This is my bench. This is a deadlift. And Mike can actually sit there, see what you're doing, and give you that feedback that you may not have had. Because I know a lot of people train alone. They don't have training partners, or they have training partners that are fucking dumb, and they can't really give them the type of feedback that they deserve to get. So if you're not in the Titan crew, I'm going to throw the link there. You can dump exercise videos, and Mike can just really help, transform that form, which could, for many people, we've seen people throw 40, 50 pounds on their lifts. Easy, just with some tweaks. Not only is that going to get their strength up, But it goes back to the imbalances like we were just talking about. You may squat with the bar crooked on your back, and you'll never know. You just you're so focused on trying to get the weight up. It's hard to tell those kind of things. So
It's a cool thing about the iPhone now, right? Or phones. Sorry.
yeah. Our hammer curls effective for our arms.
I love hammer curls. Absolutely love hammer curls. There's not, I can't think of right off the bat any exercise that's not beneficial for the body part that it's training. So and I guess, yeah, there's not, what's better, shoulder press or barbell or dumbbells? They're both great. Hammer curls are great exercises. I also like the concept of hammer curls because you can go heavier. You can change position so much. You can pull it in front. You can keep it to the side. You can come up really high. So there's so many factors to it. And it's also a great one just to overload that arm. That's why it's always performed usually at the end. That's another one Arnold told me. He loved doing them at the end. When you thinking your arm is so tired and you're done, then he'll load up those and just heave ho. So, and get nasty. So from the greatest arms in the history of humankind. Good questions here. What do you got on this one? Is this a good one? 5'9". Go for it.
5'9", 32 years old, 15% body fat, I weigh 152 pounds. Lifelong athlete with an athletic build, strength trained 3 times a week, calisthenics in between, nutrition is on point. I want to get to 160 at 15% body fat. How, please? So he wants to gain 8 pounds of muscle without getting any fat.
Great. Just nutrition by itself. And then depending on how much, what he's doing, calisthenics in between days.
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, you probably don't have to change much except pull back on your cardio. That's technically, if you were working with me, the first thing I would do is probably, you're 32 years old, so you're very young. And it's great that you want to be active. You're training 3 days a week. Make sure those are correct weightlifting, stress to the body, and you're getting stronger, especially at 32. Want to make sure that you're getting stronger so you're developing more connective tissue, bone density as you start to age into your late 30s. And it's great that you want to put on some size here because 5'9" is a good height. 150 is pretty small, thin. 15% body fat at 150. I don't know why. I guess it depends on, everybody's different. Somebody can be 15% and look phenomenal. And then somebody can be 15% and not. If you're happy with how your physique looks, which sounds like you are, so you're probably one of those guys that can carry 15% and look incredible. So yeah, I would just pull back on the cardiovascular and get some strength. Get some strength going right now and stay with your training. Give that a couple weeks or months, and then start raising the calories. Put on some more size. You'll hit 160 in no time.
Can a 55-year-old male who has never worked out until now get abs and a nice chest? Is it possible at my age?
You can get 100% better than you are. You've never trained? You can get so much better. The 55-year-old that's been training for 30, 40 years is going to make small gains. The person that's never lifted makes larger gains, especially at the start. So you'll make some incredible gains. I have no idea what you look like or where you're at with your physique, so I can't tell you what you reach your goals, but I can just tell you that you're going to be 10 times better than you are right now. Congrats. 55, making the step. Do it before January 1st. Get rocking and rolling, my friend.
Recently added heavy deads into my routine at 35. can't believe how effective and strong they've been at building overall strength and how they've completely cured my previous everyday back pain.
See, I love that. Until they do it, they don't realize. What you just said is beautiful to me because of the fact that I know that this is what happens when people start doing it and doing it correctly. That's the big thing. Doing it and doing it correctly. How much stronger the back gets, where most people run away from it. And what they'll do is they'll get weaker and weaker. And you're at such a young age. I love that you did it and you did it now. So congrats to you for realizing that and then also getting the true benefit from it. The side effects that deadlifts and squats, shoulder press, the side effects that those big movements do, man, it translates through the whole body. My legs get thicker. My back gets thicker by just doing heavy bench through the week. And then when I do hit the squats, again, my back gets thicker from that. So there's all this crossover going on because you're moving heavy weights. The whole body gets stronger, especially if you're lifting correctly. And then you go do deadlifts and you're like, well, it's a back exercise. But yeah, but it's your whole body's getting stimulated. Your arms get stronger. Your back gets stronger. Your lower back becomes a superhuman back. Your legs get stronger. Your mindset gets better. So it's a cool effect when you start really lifting and seeing the weight and the strength. Why is strength gain important?
Why is strength?
Why is strength? Because I can see somebody, I could just assume somebody here is going to go, well, I don't want to get stronger. Everybody wants to get stronger. Not personally, but if you don't get stronger, you're going to only get weaker. And that means your structure is going to get weaker. And then you're going to be one of those guys when you hit 50, 60 years old that's arched forward in the weak body and fragile. So you want to get stronger. It doesn't technically mean that you're going to get muscular and look like Steve Reeves and stuff like that. So, but you should want to get stronger, women and men. For everybody here, for any age, you should want to get stronger. The only person that doesn't want to get stronger is that guy right there. He doesn't want to get any stronger because he's too strong already. Goes, what up, Playboy?
How you doing, man?
What do you like about my baby blue here?
I love it. And look, we're on the same brain patterns again. We wore the, but man, it looks phenomenal on you for sure.
Pretty blue. Can you tell us about the Titan medical style and the clothing that you have? Because I know you got some incredible clothing out there.
Sure. So that's one thing I don't think we cover enough is our clothing, right? Our line is just it's a big line. So we have something for everybody, whether it's girls, whether it's guys, whether you're going for gym attire, casual attire, or you want to really go out and do it up real big. We've literally got something for everybody. Or hitting the beach in the bikini or the bathing suit for guys. I got the shorts for that. So
they got bikinis?
What?
Wait a minute. Hold on. Have I ever seen any videos of these bikinis?
Every day. That's the algorithm. Tricks the algorithm. Gives me 1,000-something views on my story every day. I'm like,
Smart.
I'll stick with it for sure. But yeah, so it's super easy to do. You can order the clothing online through the website, titanmedicalcenter.com, or if you see something you like, just call us because we pretty much got everything in stock, except for these shirts. I've got those shirts that Mike's got in stock, a couple other different colors of that, variations, tank tops, T-shirts, stringers, hoodies, lightweight hoodies.
Here's a side effect too. I think you guys, if you guys are out there and you're a health and fitness person, or you're just out there and you want to build your page, walking around with a little Titan Medical on your chest and then tag them, and they'll repost that story and boom, your page just doubled. So
absolutely,
that's also another little hidden gem for you guys out there that want to look jacked.
Yes.
And women.
It's not all about just feeling good, right? Looking good too comes with that. And clothing out there makes you feel good, look good too as well. Only high quality, high standard in everything that we do across the board. The clothing, the therapies, the patient care. It's all got to be the highest and highest of standard.
I love that. I love that. We got some good questions for you, Johnny.
Cool.
We're gonna load these up. I kind of went over some of these earlier, but I think I really would like them to hear your
Sure.
take on this.
Yeah, man. What we got? What we got? We roll.
Get back up to the beginning here. Let me start here with
All
this bad boy.
It says, "Hi, Mike. Could you please explain what you mean with isolate with heavy weight? I know you don't mean doing isolation exercise with heavy weight, but how would you describe it? So isolate with heavy weight."
I kind of explained my philosophy behind it, but I got to ask you, you're somebody that still benches and some good weight and some inclines, and you have some shoulders that are less than ideal right now.
Absolutely.
And that's life.
Yep, that's what it is.
It happens to everybody. And you're
Yeah.
doing some BPC and some TB500 to help with your shoulders. Just a side note to everybody else that's listening to this.
Every single day.
So shoulders are not the greatest. He still does the peptides to help those, but he
Mhm.
still does the work to get blood into there to heal as best he can.
Absolutely.
So when you lift, are you, because of the situation, do you slow it down a little bit, or are you still just gung-ho momentum? What is the concept for you when you lift
No,
now?
I mean, right now it's about control, right? Because if I start throwing it around, bad things can happen when you start throwing it around. So I just like to control the reps. I try to do the 3-second rule: 3 seconds up, 3 seconds down. If I get 2.5 going down, then that's all right. But I kind of stick to that. And I think slower movements will help if you have an injury, because you can kind of control a little bit more. You're not like, oh, I'm just doing explosive. If it's lighter weight, so I progressively go up in like a pyramids. Like today, I did chest and back, right? Oh no, I did biceps and triceps today. But when I did that, even in biceps and triceps, I'll go up progressively. But what I do on my chest day is like I'll go over to the bench, not the bar, but just like a bench. And then at that point, I'll grab dumbbells. I like doing dumbbells more than I like doing the bar now, because the way my shoulders are aligned. It's not just having a bad shoulder on the right side, and I think that this also has something to do with it. But in 2006, I had a motorcycle accident, and when I went down on my motorcycle, I hit my shoulder, and when I hit my shoulder, it popped my collarbone. So it broke my collarbone. It healed like this. The only time they do a plate and align it back is if it's a compound fracture and goes through the skin. And they say that it's better and stronger if your bone mends like this than putting a plate in there for some reason. I don't know. But what it's done is it's adjusted my shoulder to be lower, a lot lower. They say your right shoulder can be lower if you're right-handed, but mine's a lot. So I don't know if that has something to do with it too, as well, with the bar and just having to redo it. But with the dumbbells, I can literally, I'm more stable, I feel like. And you're using stabilizing muscles too, more with the barbells than you are with the bar, I guess, right? I mean, at that point,
The dumbbells, right? Yeah.
You're having to stabilize and you're pushing up. So I think you get more effect, like I do anyway, and that just a little bit easier for me. Can I go to a bench and throw up the bench? No problem, for sure. Do I feel more comfortable with the barbells going heavier? Absolutely. Like I'm literally like, I threw up like the 100-pound dumbbells. That's what I've been doing. I'm scared to go by myself and go any higher. I think I can get the weight up. I just don't want anything to give out on me, just in case, right? But I'm very comfortable lifting that heavy weight as 100-pound dumbbells in each hand. I flip them up on my knees, get up, and then I get the momentum to push up, right? And then at that point, like I'm just smooth sailing. My targeted reps are between 10 and 12. I know I don't like to put a number on something like that. So if I think I can do more, I'm going to do more. If I think I can do 14, I'm going to do 14. I won't go any crazier than that because I know I'm going to have another set after that possibly. And then the 4 sets, obviously, I cut down to half the weight or whatever the maximum was and blow it out of the water with that. Do 25 to 35 reps if you can get that in. I like to go for 50 if I can do that. It's a lot of work. I mean, I might be overtrained or not trained maybe to optimal levels like I should, but that's what gets me, and that's what I've been doing. So I'm just trying to stick with what works. But obviously, I'm open-minded. If somebody has a better technique that I trust, like Mike or somebody else like that, then I might take that in consideration. Like, hey, listen, let me try this and see how it goes. As long as I don't hurt, I'm game for anything.
You killed it. You killed the answer beautifully, because of the fact that I explained my philosophy on moving heavy ass weight in a compound movement, but it's isolated. And you established that right there because you take a moment to 3 seconds counts on the negative, 3 on the positive. You don't just explode through. And the secondary is that it's not ideal shoulders that you want, but you still do it. And so that's what I speak about being safe, still doing it, still going in there and doing it. Just for anybody here that when I talk about isolating those big moves. And again, I fully understand that there's a lot of guys out there that says you know, when you're stacking it or this or that, you can't isolate. Of course you can. Yeah, you can always mind and muscle connect, and you can always push through it in that way.
And that's the biggest thing we talk about: mind and muscle connection, intensity, right? And then safely lifting. Like that's the other thing. That's the other part of it. You need to safely lift because it does no good for you to be egotistical or whatever you want to call it. Just I'm going to do this, and then you hurt yourself, and then you start regressing back because you made a stupid error that you probably shouldn't have did, and it just is thrown by the wayside. I see it all the time. Like people around other guys, and they're like, "Oh, I'm going to do this," and then they do it, and like something happens. They pop, tendon or something happens, real bad usually. So I try to just stick to what's safe and try to keep moving up.
Well put, brother.
Thanks, dude.
Jeffrey.
I appreciate it. All right. It said, I had a successful surgery, and now I'm on the road to recovery. What do you recommend about diet, vitamins, and minerals, etc.? So obviously, listen, you just got done with surgery. The BPC 157 and TB 500, the healing peptides will help you heal faster. And that is a big component to my regimen and a lot of other patients' regimen. One, that have went through surgeries and healing faster. Two, even with the wound to heal faster where they cut you. That's a big thing too as well. Now, what else can you optimize in here? Now, you could start looking at maybe your levels of hormones and see like where your testosterone's at. You look like a gentleman that might be his 40s or up. I don't know. But at that point, that's something you should definitely look at because that can take a toll on your body not healing as fast as it should too. It doesn't have everything it should. It's not optimal. And at that point, it's not the best environment for your body to go through it. That's one thing to look at. But I would start looking at maybe some GHRH peptides too as well, or even IGF-1, because we know raising IGF-1 levels and producing more of your natural growth hormone will help you heal faster and heal better. So at that point, this is something I think that would be very, very, it would be a good thing to definitely add on as far as that for surgery. Any acute or chronic pains, that's always my go-to. That was one thing. So when I went to my orthopedic, and my orthopedic did, he did the x-ray and then he did an MRI and he see it. He's like, oh my God. He's like, your shoulders are like 60-something-year-old guy. Like, I can't believe this. And I told him what I was doing still because he trains every day, which is awesome. And he's like, man, you're doing this still with the way your shoulders? I'm like, absolutely. And I started talking to him about the healing peptides, and he really didn't know too much about it. He's been practicing for over 30 years. So he's an old school doc. When I started telling him this, he's like, I'm going to start looking into it. When I went back to him, he actually referred me to patients of his as well, because he's like, man, I seen what the result you have, and hopefully this will help them too as well. Maybe get past some time without surgery or whatever it is. So they came on, and that's been really good. I mean, he put our cards like at his front desk, which I'm like super happy about. I'm like, man, that's awesome. I mean, to get natural referrals is just a great thing, and for people to believe in it. The other portion of it is this: if you have an injury, like a shoulder injury, a knee injury, whatever it is, and let's say it's like a rotator cuff problem or labrum, you want to build the muscle around that area as much as possible to hold it in place and keep it tight. That's what he said. He's like, that's literally probably what's saving you right now. He's like, you've got so much muscle around that area that it's keeping intact. He's like, because normal people are not like that. And they just pop out of the socket and things start happening there. I'm like, oh man. So that is one thing I can say. Build up as much muscle as possible on your body, especially around the nagging parts of its shoulders or knees or whatever it is.
I'm going to say the same, pretty much similar to what he just said. I think you're above 30, so I would do blood work. I'd find out to see if everything is healed up, and make sure that you're good to go there and your body's functioning correctly inside. It's going to help on the outside. And then the second thing I would do is I would start one thing at a time. I would start making sure to fix if there is something wrong with the inside engine,
Right.
and then talk to the providers at Titan Medical. But then the second thing is I would just start the nutrition. I would just start to build a discipline with your nutrition.
Absolutely.
Your nutrition's on point, your body inside's working. You give that a couple weeks, you're already going to change just by eating right and living your life. And then add in the exercise from there and your supplementation.
Yeah.
My
Nutrition is
recommendation,
key, especially after you go through a surgery. We know
yeah,
that.
you don't need to rush. I think everybody rushes. Everybody January 1st, it's fasting or diet or low carbs. It's treadmill. It's blasting it. It's like, great. You're going to be solid for a week
Mhm.
and then
Mhm.
done. Your body changes and adapts. So stay smart, stay ahead of it, adapting to you. And that's the real point there.
Yeah.
Congrats. Welcome back. Crush it.
Now with
Yes.
PPC, is that something that somebody who's recovering from surgery would do just for a short period of time while they're still in pain? Or is that something that you continue to do afterwards?
So obviously you want to do it like right afterwards to help heal, and then obviously, hopefully it'll take away some of the pain and inflammation. You can do it afterwards for sure. Absolutely. It's more of a preventative too as well, that nothing else happens, or it's getting some of the blood flow to that area and maybe something else is going on there. I don't know. So yeah, you should definitely use it while you're going through the recovery process. And if you want to continue on afterwards, that's not a bad idea at all, right? You're being more preventative about things. And as we get older, right, more things are going to break down. I mean, well, you have a higher probability of things breaking down. I'm not going to say everybody does, but you have a higher probability.
Easy on that. Easy on that. Come on.
Hey man, you're defying
Sitting right
age. What
here.
can I say?
Sitting
What
right
can I
here,
say,
dog.
dude? You are not the average human being as far as that goes.
Never
especially when it
five
comes to
words.
chronological age.
There we
just
go. There we
doesn't
go.
compute. Does not compute. It's just crazy. So I mean, listen, stellar example here, right? I mean, Mike literally in his 50s, balling out of control, like has a body that 20-year-olds can't even achieve if they even tried, because most of them, it's not all about genetics, but he's got great genetics, but he's been working his whole life too as well. And you got to take that in consideration. Somebody's been doing something for that long, it's just like anything else. If I was doing TRT from 14 years old to all the way up to now, I mean, I really have everybody whooped. I got everybody whooped now, I think, in my mind. But
I wish I was that smart. That's all I wish. I wish it was like at 14, I was already jacked. So what, I start at 10 and I'm that smart and know how to do it for that long. Great.
I mean, hey, man.
In the 70s, see what we did in the 70s.
You know what you should do? You should do like a sequence of videos. What we did in the 70s, what we did in the 80s, what we did in the 90s, and just see the difference of that. I would definitely watch it. See what the hell went on. What the difference?
That'd be the most boring video, because I do the same shit I did in the 70s, in the 80s, the 90s. What's funny is like that I know the basic. It's just the most basic stuff done every single day gets the most benefit. It's not the
But you're missing the secret sauce, secret word. It's consistency.
It's one of those things.
Not many people can do it.
And I've got to say, though, this last year, though, I feel, man, I finished up projects where I had to be just ridiculously in shape for, and still in shape, but I get to do that off season now.
Yeah.
And introduce carbohydrates back into the system and try to build those things up. But man, this last couple weeks, now it's not because of this last couple weeks that I feel so good, but it's how I survived this last year. And that's from Titan Medical, helping me survive in the worst situation possible. I don't think anybody should always be in a deficit like I was this last year for doing all these movies. Walking around at that percentage, it's not great for your body, especially at my stage. It's not great, but what's cool is Titan Medical goes, all right, you need to be out there. You need to be in the game going. So EPC, the Tessamorelin at night, Just all the aspects, the aminos, the Hercules, all those aspects that kept me together and in the fight.
Yep.
Now we're going to pay dividends that what I talk about, get back to a surplus of calories, let your body heal up. Holy sheesh. Like I said, the strength is going ridiculous. Everything in the body just feels amazing. And so when somebody says, well, how do you feel? I feel unreal. I feel like a superhero. I'm getting back to that Mike O'Hearn, 30 years old, going, I want to wrestle a bear. I want to freaking wrestle. And some of the guys I roll with, 6'4", 300 pounds, they're the size of bears. So it's fun. And it just feels, thank you. At the end of the day, I just want to say thank you to Titan Medical and Big Johnny for keeping me together when I had to push it to that level. And now that I get to pay the dividends pay now. And so when I talk to you guys and I say that try to be in a surplus of calories, try to let the body heal, try to make sure your numbers are good. This is all great. And I understand life gets crazy. People work, things happen. But the hardship is going to set you up when everything's flowing, that you get to just dominate. I guess that's the best way to say it. I feel like I'm dominating now.
That's how you should feel, man. Optimal and dominating. That is what
but at this stage, but at this at closing in on 60, it's like
but that's what I'm saying. That's where you're killing it. Like that's like if everybody can have that and everybody should want that, like that's where you should be at. It really should be. I mean, listen, the advances and all the different things, as long as it's such a rare thing with you, Mike. So you can't say it's just the masses, but I just say even the small percentage of people that they're in the fitness industry or they have a great body, like that doesn't last a lifetime. And a lot of them aren't consistent with what they do. And that shows over time, right? Like one point in time, they're so diced and look this, but every other time you see them, they do not look like that. And then as time goes on, like other things get to the wayside and they start putting other things prioritized over their training or their nutrition or whatever it is. And then just, I guess, get rotund. Nobody wants that.
Out there that thinks, and somebody said this earlier, and I know that he was like 62 or 66, and he said that he's a busy schedule and he does a couple body parts a day and stuff. First of all, congrats to anybody over 40 that's in there and pushing it. Right. But the whole point of me saying this is that in no world is you taking care of your health, you going to the gym, you making sure that your blood markers are healthy, you being selfish to making sure that's the fundamental first thing in the morning, your health. I got to train, I got to do this, is a selfish thing. In no world, you're basically you're keeping your engine going. You're making sure that you can fire. For me, I'm a father and I want to be able to tussle with this kid. I want to at least be able to go out and play with this kid. And it was funny because I'm sitting there watching some people I know, and our son was there, and I'm looking at these 35 to 40-year-old parents, very young 35s. It's a young, it's moderately young parents. Sitting, couldn't get up, couldn't play, couldn't go out and throw the football, couldn't play the soccer ball, couldn't do anything. They're just sitting there. And I'm like, holy shit, this world has really changed from our day.
Big time.
And I'm seeing Mona out there doing flag football with these guys and taking Titans flag going, I don't play that, And I'm sitting there going, she's almost 50 and she's freaking running circles around these 30-year-olds. It's like, you guys got to take care of yourselves. You got to. You can't be already at this stage of the game and not even playing with your kids or working like that. And if it's like that, then the work is also suffering.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. For sure. Everything is at that point. I mean, I really hate to say it. I mean, I just did a skit or I did a voiceover. It was like, I get questions all the time, like, where should I put my money at? I'm like, well, you should put your money in your body because without your health, you have nothing. So you have no wealth without health. So at that point, like, make sure you're optimized and guarantee you feel better, you're performing better. You're performing better, not just in your relationship per se, but you're performing better at your job. You're more awake, you're more in tuned, you might have better mental clarity. At that point, you're more outgoing and you can make more sales or be more personal with people if you need to, just as what it is. A lot of these things reflect from your health and feeling good. If people feel good. They're in good, they're in a good attitude. They're in good space. They feel bad. They're like, don't bother me. Like, I don't want to do this. I hate showing up here. Like, you don't want to be like that. Like, it sucks. Like, I know people that go through that every single day, and I see them. I'm like, why are you just like continuing on like this?
But you see
really have it
too. You see the half that I wish more people would see this. And I think social media is out there, and it's a great thing that you see these 40-year-olds and they got their 20-year-old self that's out of shape and fat. And then they're at 40 looking incredible. And I wish just everybody knows that it's never too late to get out there and crush it and get in the best shape of your life. And you see this. Tell us some success stories that you've seen.
I mean, I've seen people lose 100+ pounds, right, on some of our programs. I've seen people totally recomp their whole body. Like, one guy that won our Titan Transformation Challenge 3 years ago, I still follow him today. And from where he went to where he is now, I mean, it's totally night and day. You wouldn't even think it's the same person. And it's just super cool to see these things because, when people change like that, it's a drastic change. It changes their life. It changes their outlook on things. And it improves things around them. And it will improve people around them too in a lot of different ways of just motivating other people. And that's the biggest thing that I tell people. I'm like, listen, you're getting the results for yourself and the people around you. And they're like, what do you mean by the people around me? I'm like, because they're going to see your results and they're going to want those results. And I see it all the time with the couples. I'm like, listen, if a guy comes to us and he's like, he's all down, whatever, we get him all riled up and ready to go, engine's going at 100%. Then the partner's like, hey, I want to feel like that because I'm not feeling like that. And I see what he's doing. So it's a motivation factor. But I've seen total recomps. Like I said, over 100+ pounds. I mean, that's a lot of weight. That's a person, guys. And at that point, like, that's just ridiculous. If I've seen somebody go from 25% body fat down to 12% body fat in I don't know, it was like 8-month time span. I was like, holy shit. I mean, it might not seem like a lot, but 10% body fat, losing that, like, that's an accomplishment, even if it was over 8 months. They didn't do any semaglutide or tirzepatide, which you can lose a lot more weight with a lot quicker. They wanted to do a more slower rate and recomp and build more muscle. So they did that, and it was just awesome the way they did. So super cool to see. And there's so many different tools that we have to get you the different result. Well, you want to build lean more muscle mass, you want to lose weight, whatever you want to do. Like, that's what we're here for. All right. Does Titan have a GLP-1 product with a GH peptide? So just so you guys know out there, Carson, they do not, any U.S. licensed pharmacy does not make a GLP-1 and a GH peptide together in the same vial. You can get them separately. So you can get a GLP-1 like semaglutide or tirzepatide. And then if you want a GH peptide like tesamorelin, CJC with ipamorelin, hexarelin, then you can get that too. The only combination of peptides that are together in the same vial are CJC, 1295, and ipamorelin. That is it. Otherwise, you're not going to see it from a U.S. licensed pharmacy. They just don't do it.
Wow.
It's good to know.
Yeah. Any advice for recovering from minor tendon injury? So this goes back to BPC and TB500. I don't know how many inquiries we get about chronic pain, acute pain, tendon, shoulders. I mean, I just talked to a patient that was checking out today. He's got a whole bunch of elbow issues, not tennis elbow, not golf, but he's got these other issues surrounding there. So he start with BBC 157 TB500. I hopefully he'll get a good result too, because most people that have those injuries like that get a great result and relief from the healing peptides. So I would look into BPC 157 and TB500. All right, John, I'm about to get Titan blood work done. Should I wait a certain amount of time between taking HRT and getting tests done? So if you ever have a question about this, and not to Mary, because I'm going to answer Mary's question about this right away. That's what our staff is here for. You can call or text them, and they're going to give you a response right away. But since you got me, Mary, of course, I'm going to help you out and talk to you about anything you want. So at that point, with HRT for women, if you're on a trochee, you're going to want to take that half a trochee before you go get blood. So at that point, when you wake up in the morning, if you're going to go get your blood, done at like 8 o'clock in the morning, you wake up at 6, take it like 6:30, go on your way, because we want to see where that testosterone is leveling off at in the afternoon, or when you get the blood test taken after you've taken it. With guys, it's different. We would tell guys to wait 3 to 4 days, not business days, 3 to 4 days after taking their last injection to getting their blood test. The reason is because we usually have patients split doses 3 days apart. So usually it's Monday, Thursday, Tuesday, Friday. But what happens is that Monday they take the injection of the split dose. Now, when they go take their blood test 3 days later, that's going to be at the point in time where they need their next injection. So we're going to see right where it's at, like right where the fall off is at, right where it's even at. And at that point, we can say, hey, listen, this is looking good and this is looking bad. We can literally decipher that. So it's a little bit different between guys and girls. But if you're a girl and you're taking troches, if you're taking injectable testosterone through Titan Medical Center and you're a female, there are a small amount of females that do. We like to put them through the troche or cream first just to see how that affects, because injectable testosterone can be not even abused intentionally, but on accident, injecting a little bit too much than you should have. For a guy, no problems, right? You might have a little bit more conversion to estrogen. For a girl, there can be issues. Like your testosterone goes up. A lot of females, when they get their testosterone, it rises way above where it should, like in a male's level. They feel really good, right? They feel more energetic. They have the libido. They have the drive. But their levels are too high, and sustain those levels are too high cause negative side effects that a lot of females don't want. And at that point, deepening the voice, clitoral enlargement, and hair in different places than where they want it. I know one girl, she was on pellets with this other place. She came over to us because she was like a house mom and just wanted to feel good. And they said these pellets were going to do everything for her. So she inserted the pellets. And at that point, her second time around, she started noticing side effects. I'm like, well, what side effect did you start noticing? She said, I started getting hair in places I usually didn't get it. I'm like, well, if you don't mind, can you share where are you getting on your face? Because that's the most common. Like females don't want hair on their face, and some automatically get the mustache and stuff like that already. So at that point, she told me, she's like, I'm actually getting some chest hair. I'm like, holy shit. I'm like, you getting chest hair? And she's like, yeah. I'm like, oh, I've seen it a couple times. I ain't gonna lie, guys. I'm like just wowed. I'm like, oh my God. She's like, yeah. She's like, it's very embarrassing. Very embarrassing. I was like, oh my God, I'm sorry. So, you do what you kind of can. She's gonna get laser hair remover and get it out like that, I guess, and just be done with it. But she transferred over. But that's something that can go wrong. And that's something that a lot of people out there are not educated on like we are, right? They don't know what some of these things do. They go to the doctor and they trust what the doctor says because they're like, listen, I have blind faith in the doctor. Like even with me, when we're growing up, doctors, teachers, right? Police officers, they're authoritarian figures. You listen to what they have to say, you follow the directions. That is what it is. So a lot of people think like that with doctors or providers, and sometimes the providers don't have their best. They don't have what's best for the patient in hand. Got a good one on here too. All right, what exactly is Hercules Potion? Great question, Mr. Elite Entertainment. Hercules Potion is a signature amino acid blend from Titan Medical Center. What does it have? It has 9 different components, 9 different things. Let's list them off real quick and go through it fast. Glutamine, recovery. Arginine, L-citrulline, vasodilators, massive pump, long-lasting pump. Ornithine, anti-fatiguing. Do more reps, do more strenuous activity, get a better result. NAC, great for liver functions. You might have some problems with that because your liver is your filter in your body. Take care of it. The other thing, proline, collagen-based amino acid. You want to make sure you're producing more collagen. This can be a benefit for your shoulders or elbows or other joint areas too as well. Okay. Then we go down to taurine, great for brain function. That's why Red Bull puts it in there, and great for cramping. So take taurine with it. The other thing is L-carnitine. L-carnitine is great for building muscle, nervous system, and overall general health. 9 different components, 9 different things that are going to help you out with Hercules Potion all in one little injectable. And once you experience the pump, you will never experience anything like that again, I promise you. No blood work's needed for it either. All right, so David Fidrick said, you were mentioning blood work. I recently did it, and I wanted to ask what markers to focus on when results come back. Did you do blood work through us, David? That's my first question. If you did, we're going to go over those markers with you briefly. And if you want to go over them more in depth with a medical provider, we can set that up very simple, very easy, and you can understand and ask the questions on what you want to. If you didn't get it through us, when I would look at markers, depending on what blood test got ran on that full in-depth lab test that you got, supposedly, then I would look at a couple different things. Now, really depending on what's going on with you, if everything's good in general health, you want to look at, obviously, everything, because everything really does count to a certain extent. But if I had to pick some certain things on a CMP, your liver, your kidneys, make sure they're good, right? Look at your thyroid, make sure that's good, T3, T4, thyroid stimulating hormone. I look at cholesterol too, because that does run a factor of some different things. Obviously, free and total testosterone. These are big markers to look at. Estradiol as a male, progesterone, and IGF-1. I think those are vital markers to look at too as well. I didn't mention B12, which I think is a big one too, but if you had to ask me like, what should I focus in on, then that's what I would focus in on. The other thing is complete blood cell count. Look at red blood cell count, hemoglobin, hematocrit, and white blood cell count. This will tell you a whole bunch of different things. That's what I'd focus on.
The one thing I'd add to the layman's person that maybe doesn't know how to read the blood work is look for anything that's marked off, anything that's high or low that they mark, which is a great thing that they do that, and it shows you.
Yes.
And then
a lot of people don't get that either. They look at labs. They don't see the H or L and the arrow, because some labs are different than others, but like Quest or LabCorp, they all have like an H and they'll have like an arrow pointing up. If it's real bad, it'll be an alert and it'll be in total red. It'll be like alert. We've got those too. Like on sugar levels, we've got on before, on cholesterol levels and triglycerides, we've got.
Man, I never thought about this, but I so agree that where you do your blood work, it's so easy to read. When I just did my family doctor, and they sent that over, and the way they do it, man, you're there for hours trying to see everything and look at everything. It's so poorly done. Instead of just here's your list. I don't know why it's such a.
Because they don't use LabCorp probably. They use their own. They use some little lab that they draw the blood in office, probably send it out, and they get the results back. And it's like that.
Terrible.
That's why we don't use some of those labs. Yeah,
the way you do it, it's so simple, it's so understandable, and then also it just I'm years into this, and I'm still learning and learning. One thing works with another and another and another. Yeah. Not just off of one thing. It's like it's cool to talk about it when you start to understand how the bodies function. Why is this up here? Why is this over here? Well, this could be because of this. This is why you see this, and this works off of it. It's a cool thing. I love the body. I think the body is an amazing thing, and it really wants to keep you healthy.
Yeah.
It was, at the end of the day, your body wants to fight off anything, and it wants to fight off. And so watching how the blood works to fight off if you have a cold or sickness or injury or you're training too much, and it tells you all these things. It's really a cool book. You get a book, an atlas, when you get that blood work of what your body is telling you you're doing right and where you're a moron. It really does. And I think it's awesome that you can do that and dissect it and go, you're given what you're given. You know that we have a lot of people here that have these issues that it's just life. That's how it works out. And so it's cool to see that you guys really take the time to help these people out. So for you guys at home, and before we jump onto this, I told somebody yesterday, and I was talking to him, I was trying to have this conversation. I said, where you're at now is I think that you should do some peptides. Peptides, fancy word for amino acids. Yeah. Focused on your ligaments, because the gentleman's in his 50s, and I would like him to keep his ligaments healthy. Does not want to. Doesn't believe he needs it. Okay. And Jeff made a great point. I'll let him say it, but I just want to give you a little scenario here to see if you can help out a bit.
Sure.
Also spoke about, and again, this is so cool. And I got a lot of friends like this that are in their 50s and 60s that have these testosterone numbers that are amazing. 100% natty, and you can see that because of the free testosterone. Right. These guys are at that 900, that 7 to 9 to 1,000 T level without doing anything. But their free T is at this 9 and 10. So again, you got this great engine that could work off all this stuff, but it's not getting into that free testosterone and making it utilizing it.
Right.
So my point was, I think you're at the stage now that to live your best life, you should do some HCG or Clomid or something like that to get that free testosterone going. Because I would rather you have a T level of 500 or 600 and your free testosterone is working at a pinnacle level.
Yeah.
But
like I said,
again,
some people get stuck on that number though. They do, Mike.
No, it wasn't even the number. It wasn't 1,000. It was more the, I don't need that. I don't need any of that. And I'm like, okay, but your body's telling you, well, yeah, I'm better than this person and this person and this person. I'm like, well, that doesn't make sense. You can't compare.
That's your first mistake. Compare yourself to others.
I'm confused. Completely confused now because you just threw it off. No human can compare themselves to another human in that sense.
I mean, we can compare ourselves to like 80% of the United States, and we're probably in the top 20% physically. Okay, that's great. Like, but I don't work for that. I work for my own goals, my own personal. Like, that's why I never went on the stage or anything like that. Like, I wasn't looking for people's attention and to like beat everybody. Like my physical look. I wanted to be I wanted to be dominant. I want to be dominant in so many different ways for myself.
Your question you did earlier.
It is what it is. So at that point, like, I think that if people need it, why not use it? If I told you that same person, okay, you have a real high cholesterol, right? You need to take cholesterol medication or it's gonna downgrade your health and performance. And like, well, I don't want to take that. Well, why? Well, I don't want to take cholesterol medication. Okay, well, you've tried to change your diet. You've tried to exercise. You've tried to do all these things. It's kind of like the same thing. Like, do you want to improve your quality of life or not? Do you want to get better or not? Because you're only going to move two ways, and that's forward or backward. There is no stagnant or maintenance because if you're stagnant, you're moving backwards, just at a slower rate. So at that point, you want to move forward. And if I see this all the time, like I'm sure I know you've got a million times, Mike, but it's like, I don't need that, right? I'm good. Like, I'm like, well, are you? And then if they are, great. But if they're not, then why are you disservicing yourself from getting better? Like, just because it's a medication. I mean, I really go over that tons and tons with people, like testosterone and everything like that. Like, you're taking steroids. That's why you look the way you do, John. I'm like, that's great. But if you took steroids, if you took testosterone per se, would you look the exact same as me? Are you doing all the work? Are you training? Are you eating? Are you being consistent with things? And they're not, right? And they're not going to look the same. And they can take the exact same medication as me. So really, it's like, if you want to be better, you're going to do the things that get you better, right? And if you want to be healthy, that's the other point of it, because it's not all about the aesthetic look and the result. It's about health. Now, that's the number one priority. I don't care if you look like a sack of potatoes. If you are healthy on the inside and you're healthy going forward, I'm not going to get on your ass about it. But majority of the time, when you look like a sack of potatoes, the body is going to reflect on the inside to a certain degree. And if it isn't at that point, it will over time.
Do you run into a lot of people where they have that pride and ego, and it's like you have all these amazing treatments and medications, and you have the blood work, and you can see them and say, hey, I know that's a great thing you said about if you're not moving forward, you're moving backwards.
Right.
But you have those people that still fight you, like, oh, I'm better than the medication, John.
I tell those two people two different things, right? One thing is, hey, listen, great. You don't need this. Please go do yourself. If you need help in the future, I'll be here for you. All right. So contact me. Gotcha. Right. No pressure situation. I'm not pressuring anybody to get on any therapy or use Titan Medical Center. I am giving you education, knowledge, and giving you your best option on the table if you do use us. And if you do use us, then we're pretty much going to make sure that your health is number one priority, get you dialed in, and get you the result you're looking for. But at that point, like, I run across people all the time. It's kind of different, I guess, of why they are hesitant. One is, growing up, if you're 40 years old, I think you grew up during the era where steroids, baseball, cheating, all this other shit. And at that point, like, it's not cheating if you're using it for a medical purpose. And I tell it to people all the time. Like, if you need it, then you can use it, and you should. If you don't need it, then you shouldn't use it. So at that point, it's just like, what are we doing here? The other thing is that they've never done any injections before. They're scared of side effects. They're scared of these negative stereotypes they've heard throughout the years. I've got this question like this week when I wrote people, if I take testosterone, is it going to be healthy for me? Yes. Am I going to have any heart issues because of taking testosterone? No. As long as you're monitored correctly and you're taking the correct doses and everything is good, you're going to be great. There's actually literature for cardiovascular health and improving cardiovascular health with testosterone. So that's a big point. But yeah, I've got these guys all the time where they're really hesitant. And sometimes they'll go with the more natural route, like in clomiphene or ACG. They'll start feeling good, and then they understand like what feeling good feels like. And they're like, damn, like I want to feel better than this. Like, will testosterone make me feel a little bit better than when I'm on? And honestly, yes, you're going to feel a little bit of difference from clomiphene to testosterone. This is what it is. And then once they finally reach that point, they know, they understand, and there's no questioning about it whatsoever. So, I think it's just getting people through that hump and getting them through maybe insecurities of injecting or testosterone or all these different treatments that maybe they've had negative stereotypes about coming up. I mean, but that's how I deal with them. I try to turn it around for them, give them the options, no pressure situation, but eventually they will come around. A lot of people like to do research. Go out and research all you want. Research to the cows come home. And if you have more questions, call me up and then we'll talk about it. And then we'll decipher what's true and what's not.
For everybody here, go read this article that Frank Grillo just did. I'm not sure where he did that article. Jeff will get the name of it. But he just did a beautiful statement. And again, Frank Grillo is almost 60 years old, a huge actor. He's in the new Superman coming up, which is going to be phenomenal. And he's also in The Peacemaker. He's going to play John Cena's dad, from what I understand. Yep. But he also fights.
I just seen him. I see him in a movie this weekend.
Which one did you see?
He's in a movie called Werewolves.
Oh yeah,
the main character.
Jonathan Sheck was in that too, and a couple of I had like 3 or 4 friends in that one.
Yeah, I seen that, and then I watched Creature Commandos, which he's the voice of Rick Flag Sr. because that's a DC movie, and that's why he's playing Rick Flag Sr. in live action. It's super cool. DC's got continuity where if you play the animated actor and voice, you're going to play the live action one too. So
well, this guy looks like a superhero. He really does. I mean, which is great because you got the guy that plays Thor and Chris Evans, and they all have great bodies. And again, to me, their bodies are more appealing than most of these guys that are on stage.
But what really gets me, I'll be honest with you, what I'm like, wow about is the age. Because Chris Hemsworth, he's young still, right? He's like in 40s. It's a little bit easier in the 40s. And I'm in the 40s. Like, I'm not saying it's easy, but it's a little bit easier. When you start getting up, you get in those 50s, and I'm not there yet, so I don't know. But I'm telling you, from majority, not Michael Hearn or not Frank, but the majority of people are not in that. They're not in that league, dude. They're just not in that league. They never will.
But that's what Frank said. He says, "Listen, I don't play football. I don't play basketball. I'm not an athlete in that sense. I want to beat Father Time, and that's the reason." Or he spoke about it. But you go read the article. It's a great article. It really is a smart concept for somebody. And he's a guy that has to pop that top every single day. And so there's a lot of factors to his mindset of going, I want to be like Stallone, which I love. I love the fact that he's 60 and he's going, I want to be this when I'm 80. When most people are like, I'm 35, can I still get better? It's like, holy sheesh, what is wrong with you? So for anybody out there, really try to live your best life today. And we said it before, today's the youngest you're ever going to be in your life. You're only getting older. And Johnny's point about, and I agree, unless you're getting better, you're going backwards because life doesn't work that way. You are getting older. It's harder. You got to stay ahead of it and got to stay smart. And Titan Medical helps you stay smart and ahead of the game.
Absolutely. Big example I could name of that too, if you want to get a vision of it, is if you put your money in the bank, it sits there. You don't touch it. Same amount of money. The next year, you've actually lost money. You've actually regressed. Why? Because inflation. So inflation does not account for that unless you make that amount of percentage of money to get back to where you were. It's the exact same thing if you're thinking about it like that. So, I mean, it's all about that.
So think about it this way too, is like you put your money in the bank and you leave it there, but then you marry a real rich woman and then you just upped it. Now Titan Medical is the rich woman. So now you just up the level and you get to keep your money, and then you get to have her money, and then you get to have both monies, and then you get the Lamborghinis and the pipes like this, and then you look like a freak walking around. I'm just saying, metaphor.
It's a chain effect.
I'm just saying.
I love it.
Go for
I love it.
Let's get one more before I let you go.
All right, cool. 40-year-old wife in pre-menopause and symptoms, struggling with heavy periods, fatigue during them. Hot flash is another big one. John, what would you recommend to start with? First thing we're going to do, James, let's get her a blood test, full in-depth blood test. Let's see where all these things are at. Obviously, if she's a pre-menopause and she's having these red flag symptoms, hot flashes, right? Fatigue, heavy periods, we can help that. And that could be a number of different things. Her estrogen could be too low, right?
There's a lighter blue.
Her testosterone might be too low. Progesterone might be too low. Some things you might need to adjust. It's very simple to do, very easy to adjust. But the first step, James, was to get the blood test to see what's going on. Exactly. You have the results, you have the numbers, and now we can make an educated decision about what kind of regimen we need to put her on to get her the results and get her away from these negative things like, fatigue, hot flashes. Because, like I said before, if people don't feel good, they're not going to be in the best mood. They're not going to be their best self, right? So when your girl is not feeling good, right, or she's naggy or eggy, she's going to, that could wear off a little bit on the guy. I know a lot of guys that go through this. So, and that's why they usually contact me like, John, listen, my wife is she's usually out of control, but she's super out of control. Like, I don't know what's wrong with her, man. So I need to get her set up for a blood test to see what's going on, and you guys tell me what to do. So that's what we'll do. Literally, I get it all the time, and I get it from girls, like wives and girlfriends too, as well. Like my husband, he's just irrational, or I'll give him like, hey, it's just not happening anymore like it used to. We need to get him fixed up. So it's okay. Like if your spouse is having problems, don't just let it go by, because that will make the problems even worse. Literally talk to them about what's going on. Communication is key. It's key in anything you do, from business to relationships and everything in between. Communication, like this. If a patient called Titan Medical Center and had a problem and I talked to him on the phone, I'm like, hey, call me back in 20 minutes. They call me back in 20 minutes, I don't answer the phone. They call back the next day, I don't answer the phone. Like, man, what the hell is going on? But if they called me and I was like, hey, call me back in 20 minutes, and I picked up in 20 minutes, they're going to be like happy as hell. But if I don't, they're going to be pissed if they don't talk to me. It's about communication. Like if I had to say, I don't know where your medication's at. I'm going to check with the pharmacy. I'll get back to you. And you don't communicate with them, they're going to be pissed off. If you say, you know what, I just talked to the pharmacy and it should be there tomorrow, they're going to be happy as hell. It's communication, and establishing communication directly with the person that you want to will solve a lot of your problems. I mean, that definitely has helped me through my years for sure. It's a lot of things that people they really need to work on. But a lot of people don't communicate well. They don't. They get frustrated, irritated, anything in between. It just really depends on the situation, and they don't communicate. They clash, or they walk away. Go the separate ways.
Stuff really quick.
We got one more big one for you.
Not a question.
Sure.
Show people the therapy of the week.
Oh, here we go.
The Titan Trifecta. This therapy package includes 3 of our most powerful Titan therapies. Titan with Optimal Health. Boost energy, strengthen your immune system with Titan Complete. Increase recovery and stamina. Plus, get that out of this world pump with Hercules Potion. And then add in some fat burning and mental clarity effects with our ECA Stack Plus. You now have a triple threat. But you have to act now, because this special ends this week on 12/13/24. And to get the discount, you got to use the discount code Titan Trifecta. So if you're looking to feel, look, and perform your best, this is the combination for you.
No blood work's needed for all 3 of those therapies. And they all, each one of them have a number of different benefits that you can benefit from. And the big big discount is on that. It's $490 for all 3 products. 2 of those products alone, Titan Complete and Hercules Potion, are usually $275 a piece. That's $550 usually just for those 2. And then you're going to add on at least $60 or $90 for the ECAs, depending on what kind of dose you get, high dose and whatever. This is established to get the high dose if you need it. If you need the low dose, you can get that too as well. But at that point, this is a killer deal, and you're going to get a lot of benefits, and it's all natural as far as that goes. The amino acids like glutamine, arginine, ornithine, lysine, L-citrulline, proline, taurine, NAC, and L-carnitine, and then all the great things that come in Titan Complete from MIC, B-complex, L-carnitine, and the branched chain amino acids. So you're getting a lot of bang for the buck. The ECAs are just going to give you a lot of energy, mental clarity, and help you stay lean.
Johnny, thank you. Felt like a superhero movie.
I appreciate it.
I love it, man. I love
I
it.
appreciate you got me on as always, man. Thank you guys. It's
Thank you,
so
brother.
good to chop it up.
You
Appreciate
help.
it. Have a good day. I'll talk to you soon.
Talk to you, buddy. You guys
Sure.
get over there, hit up Titan Medical. You can see my right there, titanmedical.com. All right. Get on over there. Find out what you need to do. Get your blood work done and be a superhero, just like Johnny. All right. You guys enjoy the day. We'll see you next week.